Good day to each and everyone. So my name is Desiree Espinosa together with Laril Gail Humawan and Fatima Shara Julwadi. So we're going to discuss to you about the Vietnam. So Vietnam is a country situated on the eastern edge of mainland rather, Southeast Asia. So Vietnam covers an area of approximately 331,000 square meters, is equivalent to 128,000 square miles. So which is gives an idea of its physical size. So Vietnam, with a population exceeding of 100 million people, it ranks as the 15th most populous country in the world. It emphasizes its significant population size compared to other nations globally. So in essence, it describes Vietnam's location size and population's placing in a global context. Vietnamese culture is a part of a broader East Asian traditions, sharing similarities with other East Asian societies in values and practices. So they have three core values, which is ancestor worship, community respect, and manual labor. When we say ancestor worship, so they honor ancestors is essential to Vietnamese culture, reflecting respect for family heritage and the belief that ancestors influence their living. When we say community respect, it has a strong emphasis is placed on harmony and mutual respect within the community. When we say also manual labor, the hard work, especially physical labor, is respected and valued, reflecting the country's agricultural and working class roots. So the symbols of Vietnamese, we have dragons, turtles, phoenix, and unicorns. So these mythical creatures hold significant cultural and spiritual symbolism in Vietnam, representing qualities like power, longevity, prosperity, and purity. They are often featured in art, architecture, and folklore. So together, these elements reflect Vietnam's rich cultural identity, blending traditions, beliefs, and symbolic imagery. The Vietnamese people are referred to as Kin people or Viets, which are alternative names for the majority ethnic group in Vietnam. So Vietnamese, they trace in ancestry to northern Vietnam and southern China. They reflecting their historical and cultural roots in these regions. So, as a Southeast Asian ethnic group, the Vietnamese people are part of the diverse cultural and ethnic tapestry of the region. So, the Vietnamese language spoken by this group is the most widely spoken when it is called the Austro-Asiatic language. So it is a family of languages primarily found in Southeast Asia. So Vietnamese has evolved significantly over time with influences from Chinese and French, but retains its Austroasiatic linguistic foundation. So let's now proceed to the historical background of Vietnam. Before the 10th century, Vietnam was under Chinese rule, which heavily influenced its written language. During this time, written works were primarily created in Chu Han. When we say Chu Han, it is a Chinese characters. So around the 10th century, a new script called Chu Nom was developed. So this system adapted by Chinese radicals to create characters that represented Vietnamese words and sounds. So allowing writers to express the Vietnamese language in written form. So Chu Nom reached its peak in the 18th century. So with many renowned Vietnamese writers and poets using it for their works. So for a brief period, it even served as the official script during the Ho dynasty and the Taisun dynasty. So it symbolized a shift toward a uniquely Vietnamese written tradition. So the Vietnamese alphabet was developed in 1631 by Francisco de Pina, a Portuguese missionary. It uses the Latin script with a additional diacritics to represent Vietnamese sound. So in the early 20th century, the French colonial administration in French Indochina mandated to use of this alphabet. which significantly increased its adoption. By the mid 20th century, the Vietnamese alphabet had become the dominant writing system, replacing traditional scripts like Chu Han and Chu Nom. So during this period, Vietnamese literature thrived in the new script, which with contributions from francophone and English-speaking Vietnamese writers, enriching the cultural and literary heritage of Vietnam. Vietnamese literature encompassing rather both oral and written traditions. So is predominantly created by Vietnamese people. So early Vietnamese literature was deeply influenced by Chinese literature, with the most written in Han Van or Van Ngon. It is a classical Chinese. So from the 10th century, some works began to be written in Chunom, so a writing system specifically designed to represent the Vietnamese language. Although it was used less frequently than Han Van, Chu allowed for more authentic expression of Vietnamese ideas and culture. So Chu played a crucial role in developing distinctly Vietnamese poetic forms such as Luk Bat. When we say Luk Bat, it is a 6/8 verse. And songs that Luk Bat, it is a double 7/6/8 verse. So these forms allowed for the use of Vietnamese reduplication. So when we say Vietnamese reduplication, it is the repeating syllables for emphasis or aesthetics. It gives Vietnamese poetry a unique rhythm and style. So, in a short summary, the evolution of Vietnamese literature reflects the interplay between Chinese influence and the development of distinct Vietnamese literary identities through Chu Nom.
Vietnamese folk literature are rich in oral traditions, include folk tales, legends, proverbs, and song, and they follow the three types of media, which is the hidden, fixed, and shown. In hidden is only retained in the memory of the author. Fixed are written, they follow the Quang Ngu as the universal or official writing system in Vietnam. And lastly is the shown or performed. One of the examples is the theater play. Medieval literature, Hanbam is the earliest surviving literature by Vietnamese writers written in Chu Han. These works include proclamation by Vietnamese emperors, imperial history, and declaration by China. So in Hanbam is described as a Chinese character before the 20th century, but during this time is Vietnamese under the rule of Chinese dynasty. Literary Chinese text, they follow the Pian Am as a phonetic translation. The original alphabet of Vietnam, but this section not understood by the Vietnamese as the text in Chinese. And the dictionary is the translated meaning, the translation of poem by the meaning so the Vietnamese speaker can able to understand. And the dichto, which is the translated poem, which is the new version of the poem that was written in Vietnam. Inom verbs, a locally invented demotic script based on Chu Han, was developed for writing the spoken Vietnamese language from the 3rd century.
Hi everyone, I am Fatima Shara Julwadi and I am the last reporter of this group. And now I am going to discuss about the modern literature. While created in the 17th century, the Vietnamese alphabet was not widely used outside of missionary circles until the early 20th century, when the French colonial government mandated its use in French Indochina. During the early years of the 20th century, many periodicals in Vietnamese alphabet flourished and their popularity helped popularize Vietnamese alphabet. While the alphabet made reading and writing Vietnamese more accessible compared to the complex Chu Nom, its use was initially confined to missionary circles for religious purposes and was not adopted by the general population. Most Vietnamese society, especially the elite, continued using Chu Nom or Chinese script for administration and literature. Next, after the 94 Geneva Conference, Vietnam was divided into North Vietnam and South Vietnam, and the literature of these two regions also developed in different directions. In the north, which hitherto formed an alliance with the Soviet Union, writers were under the control of the Communist Party. Although there were some periods of turmoil among northern writers, when the government launched the Land Reform Campaign or when Khrushchev came to power and denounced the legacy of Stalin. Works in modern Vietnamese include Viet Nam Sor Lu Ruk by Tran Trong Kim, 1921, Su Do by Vu Trong Pung, 1936, Mechanics and Crafts of the People of Annam. All these works are written in Chornum. That's all. Thank you.